Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? There is nothing better than doing a show when you were 1-0, baby. Them Memphis Grizzlies are on pace to win 82 basketball games this year. You can't win them all if you don't win the first one. And we are still basking in the glory that was that win Wednesday night. I welcome you to the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, as always, Rusty Buckets. Tuning in with my guy, best friend of over 10 years, Drew Gann, a.k.a. Uncle Buck, a.k.a. Meatloaf. What's up, brother? How are you, man? I've been waiting to bring that back for 2 years.
Oh, man. I'm good. Don't look now, but the Memphis Grizzlies are tied for the first seed in the Western Conference.
Let's go.
They're tied with New Orleans, Golden State, Los Angeles Lakers, Phoenix Suns. So, what's that? Six-way tie for first place. So, last night, opening night for the Memphis Grizzlies, they played on the road in Utah against the Utah Jazz. And we've got thoughts. You know, we're not going to overreact yet, but we do expect the Grizzlies to win 82 games this year. So, take everything we say with just a very tiny grain of salt.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you our takes. But before we do that, Rusty, we've been friends for 10 years. We don't catch up as much during the week anymore. We're busy. And so I just want to know, what's the best thing that happened to you this week?
Yeah, man. So I got Shelby back on Monday from training, and this is a completely different dog. As I say that, she's probably going to just go nuts in a minute, barking in the background. But
I was going to say, is Shelby your mom? Shelby your girlfriend? Yeah. Who did you send to training?
So Shelby is back from training with her e-collar, and she did so well. She listens more. She's more confident. She minds more. We had the best walks we've ever had. Like, it's just wild what they did in 2 weeks with her. And used to she would hide if she didn't like people standing over her, if she was eating or on the floor and people were standing around talking, she'd want to be up on the couch. Now she's just chilling, like, much better dog. So for me, it's going to make her life a lot better and my life a lot better just in how we interact and respond. So shout out, no free shout out to West Tennessee K9 for helping her out.
Yeah. This isn't my best of the week because I got something better I'm going to surprise you with. But Ted, the mascot of the show, you can see right here, he is no longer wearing his e-collar from his tail trim that he got last Monday. So the catastrophic days of my best friend Ted is over. And hopefully that we've turned the corner here and he can move on with his life.
Yeah.
So my best of the week. This is a surprise. I've been sitting on this for like a week now.
Oh boy.
So Grizzlies opening night, Saturday night in the Grindhouse against the Orlando Magic, the undefeated Orlando Magic. And your boy's sitting in the lower bowl.
Let's go. That's awesome.
I got a call, I don't know, Sunday night. Was like, hey, would you like some tickets? And I was like, yes, I would like some tickets. And I had a hunch that maybe these were good tickets, but I wasn't 100% sure. The text message comes in Tuesday that the tickets have been transferred to me, and me and Mrs. Buck are going to be sitting in section 108, row R, right there in the mix, baby. Right with all of, I don't know how many people FedEx Forum holds, but with all, say, 12,000 of my closest friends.
Well, Maggie and I will be there, but we won't be in section 108. We're the first row of section 225, row A. So we're the first row of the upper deck. You'll have to look up way up with your binoculars and find us. Just kidding, it's not that far. So we're going to get there early. We're going to try out tacos and ganas, doing the new food courts there. So you and Miss Buck, let us know when y'all are coming to Memphis, and we will make it happen, dude. I'm stoked. I have a new best of the week.
Yeah. So we're watching the game last night, that we're recording this on Thursday at lunchtime. So last night when the Grizzlies were playing the Utah Jazz, they showed the giveaway for Saturday night, the home opener, the bucket hat. Yeah. And I was like, honey, we're getting there early. I've got to have the bucket hat. So we're going to get there early. We're still in the process of trying to figure out babysitting situations because my parents are going on a cruise leaving out Saturday. So they're dead to me. And so once we get the kid situation figured out, we're going to try to get there early. We would love to join you and Max to go eat tacos and ganas, get a bucket hat, and then leave you to go to your peasant seats while we go down to our free amazing seats.
That's nice, man. We're planning to get there early because we want to get tacos and ganas. We want to go to the Grizz Den. Like, we got a lot of big plans for the game. So excited y'all get to tag along. It'll be a good time, man. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm stoked. And hopefully we'll be watching the 2-0 Memphis Grizzlies team get their first home win of the season.
That's it. Buckets. Not everything's peachy all the time. Most things are. But what's the worst thing that happened to you this week?
Yeah, normally these are pretty light and lighthearted and funny, but, you know, we've got families, we got things going on. We've got stuff with mama going on. But this week, my grandparents, I'm fortunate. I recognize that I'm 37 years old. I'm getting old. And I still have 3 of my 4 grandparents still living. And that's not something that I take light. I appreciate that. Very blessed by that. One of them in particular, my papa, my mom's dad's having some health issues. So thoughts, prayers, kind well wishes, whatever y'all do out there, we would certainly appreciate that for my mama's side of the family. Papa, he's 88. He'll be 89 in March. And we all thought he'd outlive us all. And so we're hoping that that's the case. It's just a bump in the road. But yeah, just some thoughts and prayers for Papa for sure.
Yeah, you know, I was fortunate for a long time. I had 3 grandparents for, I guess, 27 years, 28 years. And I had 2 pass away within about a year of each other, or 2 years of each other. And still got one left at 32 years old. Still very thankful that grandma's still around, still cooking for us on occasion. So it's always, you are very fortunate to have 2 grandparents at 37 years old. And don't take that for granted. So thoughts and prayers to Rusty's grandparents, Mama Lee's parents, and Mama Lee while we're thinking about it.
Oh,
so,
Mama Lee's rocking it out, man. For some from good news, man. She got her staples out. She's feeling good. Everything is going well. We go back on the 6th to get her little stimulator program. So Mama Lee's in a good spot, man.
Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. My beef. This Ted thing was going to be my beef. That he's been waking us up with that e-collar. I don't know if you've seen it. Hold on 1 second.
Oh boy, this thing's gonna be massive. Like, I know it is. Like, he's bringing back a giant cone.
You could pot a plant in this e-collar. Okay,
you should in memoriam. You should in the backyard.
And so this is what he's been wearing for a week and a half, and he stays in a crate. He's crate trained. He's not. This is not a prisoner situation here. He's a dog, and he's crate trained. But the noise that makes inside a wire crate at 2:00 in the morning wakes the house up.
Yeah.
So I guess it's part of my best is that he is no longer wearing that. But it was a major beef for like a week and a half. The reason why I took him to the vet today to check his stitches before Monday, I was like, we got to get this thing off of him. You check, see if he's progressed well. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, you could probably take it off, but just monitor him. I was like, okay, it's off.
Yeah, it's off. We're done here. Yeah, because my roommate's dog, she had a little ear surgery this week. And so she's in a cone. Compared to that one, it looks like a sippy cup. Like, it is tiny compared to that one. Because she's a little 13-pound Chihuahua Cocker Spaniel mix. And so it ain't nothing compared to that gargantuan cone that Ted's been rocking.
If I wore that around my neck, I wouldn't be able to use my hands to feed myself. Like, somebody would have to feed me.
Absolutely. So, I'd be miserable. It's funny. It's always funny to watch dogs when they get in those cones because it's like they get so embarrassed and they're like, I don't know what this is. And so you feel bad for them. I wouldn't be able to do well on one of those cones. And so shout out to old Ted for being a champ and persevering through the worst of it.
Yeah. So that's our best of beef segment of the week. We like to, we started this show as just friends that decided to record their cell phone conversations about sports. And in our phone conversations, we never started with sport. We just caught up. So we're staying true to our roots here. We just want to check in on each other, but we're getting to sports now. The Grizzlies are 1-0 with a little bit of a nail biter win in game 1 against the Utah Jazz. Ended up being, it was pretty comfortable most of the game. Got a little squirrely late. I'm sure we're going to talk about some substitutions and why Ja wasn't in the game because you like to find any reason at all to gripe about Taylor Jenkins. But we're going to start from the top. Jared Jackson Jr. was out. He is still just playing it safe right now. we both expect him to be available in the home opener Saturday night to have the whole gang back together for the first time in, I don't know, 5 years, something like that. And got off to a good start. We've got a lot of things we want to talk about. Salente Aldama did get the start in place of Jaron, which we all expected.
Mhm.
Rusty, what were your thoughts going into it? What were your initial thoughts coming out of it? Just take it wherever you must.
Yeah, I wanted to see health, and we saw that. That was first and foremost. Is I wanted to see a healthy Memphis Grizzlies team of the guys who played, that they started healthy and they finished healthy. Marcus gave me a little scare. I think I sent in the group chat. He looked like he favored a groin for a couple plays because he landed kind of awkwardly defending a ball. He ended up being fine. I think two places I'd like to start because, we'll talk about the Santis and the Edis and the Jalen Wells of the world and all the things that came out of that. But this team starts and stops with its core three. Jaron didn't play. 12 is back, baby. As he said last night, that phone is always in my pocket and the ringer is on too. We had a Ja double-double in his first game back since early this year in 2024. 24 and 10. Did he have his best game? No, but he was there when you needed him. And we will talk substitutions here in a little bit, not because I like bashing Taylor Jenkins, but because I like to talk about things that we all can improve on. I respond well to constructive criticism, and I think skinny Taylor Jenkins can as well. But Ja looked the part. We needed that steal. He had that little series where he had that layup, then he had the steal and the layup, and it's just like, that's why 12 is the man. He is the alpha on this team. And then Desmond freaking Bane. At the end of the first half, Rob Fisher made a big deal about it on the broadcast last night because he was part of the parlay that Des only had 5 points, and you had to get 20 to hit the bet last night. All he did was go for 19 second half points, including 10 in the third quarter, to finish with 24 points in 27 minutes, making 4 threes with 4 assists and 4 rebounds. 4s were wild last night for Desmond Bane. Makes sense. Double deuce, 22, baby. Had a night that helped us win that game last night. So for me, the biggest first takeaways are our stars are back.
Yeah. So let me just piggyback on yours before I give you mine. So you're right. Ja Morant, it was definitely the best, the most encouraging thing that you could have seen in a 23-24 season where he only played 9 games due to suspension and due to injury. You saw in those 9 games Ja Morant, but then he has an injury that has him out the rest of the season, and he rolls an ankle in the first preseason game, and then he plays pretty light minutes in the last preseason game. And so just seeing that you've still got Ja and that Ja still got it. We never questioned it, but it's always nice to see it. Mm-hmm. He took over. In our group message, I was saying, like, listen, I know it got a little close late once Edie finally fouled out. The Jazz went on an 11-0 run while Ja was on the bench, and I just kept saying, like, this game is over as soon as Ja Morant gets in. They don't have anybody that can stay in front of him, and it is so nice. It's such a commodity to have a dude like 12 that you can call and it's over. Like he is a closer. And no matter how hard you try, no matter who you throw at him, no matter how many people you throw at him, he's getting to the lane, he's getting fouled, and 9 times out of 10, he's hitting the shot while you're fouling him. Mm-hmm. So he took over late in that game, and it's just a different team with him. I love him. I'm not ashamed to admit how much I love this man. Like he took over. Desmond Bane was great. Desmond ended up with 24 points, 8 of 20 from the field, 4 of 10 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Ja with 22, 7 of 12 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line. But he was 8 of 9 from free throws, which I thought is encouraging. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of chatter leading up to opening night that he was going to start taking a lot more threes. He's going to be encouraged. But he has been encouraged by all of his coaches and all of his teammates to shoot these open threes, that you can do it. It makes me think that it's maybe more mental than it is mechanical for him. He only took 2. He missed both of them. But the fact that he went 8 of 9 from the free throw line was very encouraging about that outlook going forward, because that is always a metric that they look for in college kids and high school kids and overseas kids when they don't shoot well at threes. A lot of times the free throw numbers, if you've got shoot a high percentage from free throw, it shows that you can translate that into a 3-point shot.
And I think he will, because the shots that he took, even though he missed them, they were good looks. Like, he didn't force them. They were good looks. They just didn't go in. I will also happily donate any and all Brandon Clark 3-pointers that he thinks he needs to shoot to John Morant, because they told us BC had a 3-ball. I didn't see it last night. I'm like, bro, I need both feet in the lanes. I need that floater back. Like, I don't need you out on the wing hucking up a 3 with 10 seconds to go on the shot clock. Like, that cannot be what we had drawn up.
Yeah, I was going to get to – he's one of my minuses, one of my very few minuses that I was going to get to in a minute. But my plus is to stay positive.
Yes.
Santi Aldama, man. He is probably the story of the night. Santi finished with 27 points, 5 of 10 from 3, 10 of 16 from the field. An amazing – he only had 2 offensive rebounds, but the most critical offensive rebound of the day off a job missed free throw, kicked it out. I mean, and was able to just run the clock down another 6 seconds before Utah was able to foul again.
Right.
And basically stuck the fork in the Jazz with that offensive rebound, that tip out. And so Santi was amazing. He started 0 of 2 from 3 and then proceeded to make 5 straight. I'm telling you, I think I've said it on this show. I know I've said it on the Daily Grind. With bringing in the assistant coach that coached in the Italian league, coached in Paris, this new offense that everybody is kind of raving about and talking about, it feels very Olympic national team basketball. You look at the Argentinian teams of the past that were so good, or the Spanish teams that, it looked like they played together for decades when they played in the Olympics. And this is kind of the feel and the flow it feels like to me. And because of that, I expected Santi Aldama to thrive in this offense in a contract year where he's trying to make some money. Like, it's a perfect storm for Santi Aldama. And game 1 did nothing to dissuade me off that idea.
Absolutely. He looked the part. And look, like we talked about on Thursday morning's Daily Grind, like, we're not going to need 27 from Santi every night. But it's like, Drew, you and I were big Xavier Tillman stans, right? And like, X when you need him, right? He would step up and win you some games. And that's what Santi's going to be in this role for him. I couldn't agree more. That's a brilliant point about this European FIBA-style offense. Like,
you're not the first to call me brilliant. Brilliant.
I'll concede when you're right and give credit where credit's due. Just like when I talk about Larry Markkinen in a few minutes. But Santi Aldama is made for this offense. Like, he got so many good looks. And, it's like, I think it was Pete that said on the broadcast last night, all he had to do was get opposite the Jazz bench so he could look them in the eye when he buried that 3 on them. And I'm just like, that's it. That's what he needed. But, like, again, my favorite part of the whole night was that oop that he took from Ja. He one-hand slam, and then they see him go, oh, my God. And, like, collectively, Memphis Grizzly fans also said the same thing. Oh, my God.
It was a great night from Santi. Jalen Wells had some moments, too. He was the other one, the bench player that I wanted to kind of showcase. Early on, his shot was going. He started 2 of 2 from 3. And then he missed his last 3. He was always in the right spot and on defense, which is, like I've said, with him on defense, it's just about being in the right spot and being an ankle biter, nagging the offensive players. And I thought he was in the right spot all game long. The shot is there. The shot is pure. He's going to hit 2 out of every 5 shots that he takes. I mean, he's just going to be a shooter in this league, and he's going to get a lot more minutes. You've got a brother too that we probably need to talk about that plays for the Memphis Grizzlies at some point.
We'll get to him. I do want to talk about Jalen for a second. Like, he had a great first half. He looked really good in the first half, and in moments in the second half, he was very pesky. He was very much in the lane, in the way when he needed to be. It felt like when we needed a deflection, he was there. He got in some foul trouble late. We'll talk about TJ in a few minutes. I felt like TJ kind of left him out there to drown a little bit in the fourth quarter when he was making his rookie mistakes. And, that's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. He's trial by fire. You figure it out. He may not do that again. He'll learn from it, but also, like, get the boy a break. Like, give him a blow. it's a double-edged sword. There were things that and you'll be surprised in a few minutes. I have a lot of positive things to say about Taylor Jenkins, but Jalen Wells stepped up when we needed him. He hit those big threes early. He kept shooting. He didn't put his head down. He played well off the bench last night for a rookie. We'll talk about this with Zach Edey, but like the pacing of a regular season NBA game is vastly different than a preseason game, than a summer league game, than a scrimmage in practice. Like, and especially against a good, talented Jazz team. Like, it's not the player's fault that team tanks every year. That's on the ownership and coaches trying to tank for a certain player. But like, I mean, Markkanen is good. Kessler is good. Keontae George had an off night last night, but he's
so bad. No, Keontae George was the best player on the Memphis Grizzlies last night.
Last night,
more shots than anybody on the team and made 3 of them. And
he's usually a decent player.
He was the same. This is the same player we played in summer league, just chucking, man. And he kept drawing fouls and he never made free throws. Like,
he had 30.
I would have punched him if I was on his team last night.
He had 30 something in summer league, but Collin Sexton, good basketball player. They're a talented team, and Jalen Wells played well considering all of that. And so, like, I'm not worried about Jalen Wells. He's going to continue to get minutes. He's going to continue to get those Luke minutes and get his shots. And listen, like Luke said on the Daily Grind on Thursday, like, Luke was only good for shooting. Kennard would only shoot 5 threes a game. Jay Huff and Jalen Wells made 5 last night off the bench. And so you talk about my brethren, Jay Huff is tough, as Wayno is prone to say, man. That guy is a freaking hooper, helping place his stat line last night. 4 for 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, finished with 13 points, 5 boards, 2 big blocks. Like, he had a whale of a game off the bench, helping space the floor, and was in our closing lineup over BC after Edey had fouled out, and looked really good playing next to those starters. He creates a ton of space on the floor. I think he's going to be one of those guys that a lot of teams around the league will be kicking themselves. Like, what do we not see in this Bass Pro version of Naz Reid?
That was my favorite tweet of the night.
Yeah, so good.
Jay Huff is Bass Pro Naz Reid. He was amazing, and they are going to kick themselves because it's one of those things that the Grizzlies have such a track record now with their G League and their two ways that it's like, why did we let them get him? Like, we may not develop him as good as they will, but we can't let them get the 7-foot dude that can shoot threes. Like, duh. and
can actually run the floor. He ran the floor athletically.
He was amazing last night, and he stepped up when you needed him because Zach Edey. To get into some negatives here, Zach Edey did struggle.
I got some thoughts on that. So
yeah, go ahead.
So Edey, yes, it was a rough night for Edey, but he had 5 points, 5 boards in 15 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field, so 50%. Free throws weren't good, and he normally shoots free throws well, finishing 1 of 5. But what I did like is he finished with 5 rebounds, 4 of which were offensive rebounds. We had 4 offensive rebounds, doing exactly what Steven Adams would do with those putbacks. I said early on the Daily Grind, my one gripe against Zach Edey this preseason, he had a great preseason, is he was really bad at catching the ball high, coming down to his waist, and going back up. There were 2 instances last night at the rim that he caught the ball.
The ball at Zach Edey's waist is like 7 foot tall.
I mean, still, yeah. But last night, on 2 of those offensive rebounds, he caught it and put it right back up, and it looked beautiful. It looked good. So, like, yes, he looked out of position behind the pace last night. And 2, Kessler was coming in for blood, man. Like, he got bullied in the summer. He was not getting bullied last night. John Collins also presented a problem because he's really athletic and essentially a stretch big. So, Edey didn't look good, but he also did at the same time. Like, he had moments where he looked good. We didn't run a design play for him until early in the 4th quarter, and he got a great seal. We just didn't get the ball to him. And so it's there. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, it took Marcus Smart feeding him the ball from the top of the key for him to get the ball with in a position to do something with it.
Yeah.
There's I was listening. If you guys haven't listened to this, a good kind of a good taste test of what to expect on Friday was talked about in the Grizz 901 postgame show last night with Sane. And one of the points that Sane and DG made was really smart for me. It's something I'm going to look for in the in the Rockets game tonight. And that's Zach Edey has always relied on just being big to rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And he's relied on that, and it's kept him from probably learning the science behind blocking out and getting into position and reading the ball off the rim. If you look at the best rebounders of all time, the ones that are talked about as the best rebounders, you're thinking Charles Barkley and Dennis Rodman. Those guys weren't 7 foot tall, but there's a science behind it. If you remember on The Last Dance, there was always the meme of Dennis Rodman. Ball hits here, I go here. Ball gets here, I go here. Yeah. And you can just see that him drawing it with his hands and the science and the madness that went behind him knowing where to rebound the ball at. And Zach Edey's going to get that. And when he gets that and couples that with being 7'4", I mean, heck, if he doesn't try, he's going to get 8 rebounds a game. And if he figures the other stuff out, the science behind it, I mean, you're looking at a 12 rebound floor for my man. And so, and then the offensive stuff's going to come. You know, his floor is Walker Kessler, what you saw last night. And Walker Kessler is an amazing screen setter and roller and can finish and can tap out rebounds. And that's what Zach Edey is going to be at his worst. Yeah. And all he's got to do is stay out of foul trouble. And Walker Kessler took it personal, to quote Michael Jordan from The Last Dance. He took it personal. Zach Edey humiliated him and put back a free throw line put back to win the game in Summer League against Walker Kessler. He's been seeking out Zach Edey ever since. And so I'm not worried about Zach Edey, but man, if Zach does struggle with foul trouble, whatever, Jay Huff's that dude.
Huff. That's it, man. I was about to say, but think of it like this. Like, guys, like all of y'all out there, most of y'all probably employed, have jobs, you have training periods, right? You have orientation. For my employees as physical therapists, I bring them on board. We do an orientation for your first 2 weeks. You've got people that are overseeing your notes and making sure you're doing them correctly and making sure the patients are safe and those type of things. We have been in that phase with Zach Edey. You've got summer league, you got preseason where you're getting training. You got the training wheels on. Well, this is his first week in the wild. We've taken those training wheels off. Orientation's over. Now it's time to go to work. Like, you're in the fire now. He's going to have growing pains, right? Yes, he is a basketball savant, as Anthony Sain said. But this is only his 7th season of playing organized basketball. Like, it's not like he's been playing since he was a child. There's going to be growing pains.
Right.
And again, like you said, there were 2 really big athletic bigs last night in Walker Kessler and John Collins, who's not big in stature, but he plays a lot bigger than what he is.
There's also Lauri Markkanen as well, who's 7 foot. You know,
listen, bro. Lauri Markkanen last night made a case for being one of the best basketball players in the association now. He's so good. Finishing with 35 points, 9 of 15 from the field. I understand the hype on trying to get him traded last year. It's just a shame that they're going to shut him down early so they can fail for flag next year. It's going to be a bummer to watch him sitting right on the bench after January.
Yeah, I'm not discouraged with Zach Edey in the slightest. And one of the most encouraging things that I saw is it seemed like every time there was a stoppage in play for a review or for, whatever, he was always standing there talking to Ja or Taylor Jenkins. He's a sponge, man, and he wants to learn and get better. And that's not something you see from everybody in the midst of a terrible outing, especially it would have been so easy for him to get down and discuss it and be like, dude, I'm so far behind and check out and say, oh, we'll get him again next time. But man, you could tell he was a sponge. And I don't know if I just don't see that because of the camera doesn't show it, but the camera showed it last night. And he was always, and I put it on John, I put it on Taylor too. Like, despite being in the middle of a game and needing to call your next play, they were intentionally pulling him and like, listen, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do this. You're doing good. It's bad luck. Whatever they were talking to him, man, they were talking the whole game. And so, and I love the fact that Taylor just let him foul out.
Yeah.
Taylor and coaches in the NBA and in college and in high school, every day, once your big dude or any player gets in foul trouble, they sit them for a half and then bring him back in with 4 fouls with 2 minutes to go. And you've basically fouled him out yourself by not getting everything you can get out of him.
We saw it with Jaren so many times.
Yeah.
So many times.
Taylor let him foul out played the maximum amount of minutes that the refs would allow him. And then he put Jay Huff in to close the game. And ultimately it didn't matter because we called 12 answers,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So last thing kind of on players before we transition to coaches for a little bit, I do want to talk Scottie Pippen Jr. Like he looked a little rough last night. You know, he looked the part of a journeyman, kind of new to the league, much like Edie. The game looked kind of big. Him and Edie both early on, especially the adrenaline was flowing, man. Those passes they were throwing had some zip on it. They were not, you know, settling into the moment. It did look like it was a little big for him. And so I want to see him settle more into the offense. They're still learning. Pitt finished with 3 fouls and 2 turnovers last night. Still had 7 assists. That's a good assist to turnover ratio.
Yeah.
But at times it just felt kind of chaotic. And so I want to see him settle a little bit.
Yeah, I was not as discouraged by Scottie Pippen. I don't believe that he had a wow game by any means. But he wasn't a losing player on the field. Like you said, he had 7 assists, which is a really good assist number for him.
Yep.
He did have 2 turnovers, but he also responded with 3 steals and 1 block. So he had 4 stocks and 2 turnovers. That's winning. He finished as a +5 in the plus minus for the team. So yeah, I didn't leave with any sort of alarm bells going off for Scottie Pippen personally. There's some things you can clean up, but it's game 1, you know, and he is the last addition to this team. As a two-way player that was signed last week. So I'm not, the alarm bells are not flashing for me. I thought he played well. I didn't think he played great, but he was in the mix defensively, which is really what I want more than anything. Don't turn the ball over and get busy on the defensive end. When 3 steals and a block, tell me he did that.
Yep. Last couple stats before we transition to coaches. So a couple things for you. The Grizzly players with 20-plus points, 10-plus assists in a season opener, Ja Morant. That's it in franchise history. Santi Aldama's 27 points, or the most points by a Grizzly player scored in a road game season opener in franchise history. Shout out to Sean Coleman for these. We did have 28 assists on 43 made shots. The ball is moving and moving well. Like we are going to get this offense down pat. And a big reason why, Drew, and this on transition to coaches, is watching what I saw last night. I was super encouraged watching the coaches. They were super engaged with the team, with one another. Every time they showed TJ go into a timeout, Tomas was right in his ear, looking at things. They were talking through the offense and talking through sets and looking at things. The coaches were all in on the players coming off, talking, defensive sets and substitutions. Like, I was impressed with the coaching staff last night and a lot of what Taylor Jenkins did. Taylor, I felt like, had a great game plan for last night starting off. I don't know that I love Santi taking our first 2 shots of the season, but it worked out because he then made 5 in a row.
Yeah.
But a lot of positives. I saw a lot of positives out of Taylor last night. A big one being letting Zach Edey foul out, letting him figure it out. Big fan of that.
Yeah. I mean, this is what Taylor Jenkins does. He's going into his 6th year. He started the same year as Ja did. And that's kind of his calling card and what he expects out of his coaches. He is, you have professors and you have teachers, if that makes a difference. You guys who go up and just profess your knowledge, walk out the room and hope that it landed. TJ is a teacher. Yep. He is in the mud and he expects that out of his staff as well. This is a very developmentally centered staff. That's what they care about. And to take it just to the nth degree, it's a whole new staff with a whole new offense, and this is game 1. And so I know it's game 1, but they're not sitting back being like, oh, you should know this by now. We've been talking about this. No, we're in the mud with you. We're figuring this out, and you could tell, and it's encouraging for me, just as like it's a trait that I like out of people, is that the coach, the head coach, a veteran head coach of this team, everybody's involved. This is a very cohesive group. They share ideas, they share roles, and he may be the figurehead, but everybody's got a voice, and you saw that, and they were very eager to figure this out on the fly, and I love that out of a coach.
Agreed, and it's just fun watching them come in and work together. Now, he's still the same old TJ in those late game rotations. I do not have a good excuse or good reason. Like, Twitter started blowing up after Ja was on the bench still with about 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Like, is he hurt? Is something wrong? Turns out it's one thing that you can blood bank guarantee with Taylor Jenkins is there's going to be a late game moment where he's going to have one of his stars sitting beside him, and the game is starting to get out of control because the Jazz started on that big run and ultimately took a lead with 12 still sitting right next to him. Thank God for Desmond Bane burying a three, getting an assist to get that lead back, and then Ja finally comes back in. But, like, I understand the altitude thing. Like, I heard that. I know that was something he was considering. It'd be different if he didn't do this same thing in Atlanta and Miami and Houston. But this just feels like my one gripe last night is that we saw the same thing we always see, where he leaves a star on the bench, probably a little longer. It worked out because we won. This is very much like a first world complaint. I understand. But that's something I hope to see better this year, and it's not off to a great start.
Yeah, so I think you're rolling over a lot of your annoyances from previous seasons into game one. Like, this is still obviously a wound that hasn't healed. I get it. But DeMichael Cole, like you referenced at 7:15 last night on Twitter, preempted everybody's freak out and kind of gave a reason before it started. Taylor Jenkins says, according to DeMichael Cole, Taylor Jenkins says he will probably call an early timeout to help players get adjusted to the altitude. He's also mindful of 6 games in 9 days to start the season. That will play a factor in how much guys play over the next 2 weeks. So you lay that out there. If this was a game plan thing, and I do get the Taylor Jenkins gripe. He's always going to be that coach that plays a lot of guys. Like, yes, I would love to have an 8 to 9 man rotation, and you're getting Ja to play 36 to 38 minutes a game along with Jaren and Dez, but that's just not going to happen. And I'm not 100% sure that it should. I think it's a valid point when you're playing an 82-game season, and what really only matters at this point is postseason success. So I kind of get it. Although I was one of those people in crunch time last night. I kept saying, like, all we got to do is get Ja in the game. He's going to win it. And when the 8-minute mark went by and then the 6-minute mark went by, I was like, oh, where is he? Like, it's close. We're going to win it as soon as he gets in. But it was more antsy for me. I was like, where is he? Like, and it's some scars with injuries too. Like, the thought went through my head. But in the end, ended up just being paranoia anyways. Like, ultimately, he did what he said he was going to do. And we won the game. So it's not a big deal for me. I know you've got your scars. You have real big beefs with some of his rotations, and fine. All those beefs that you had was during a 27-win season.
No, these predate last season. This has been, and you said it yourself, this has been TJ's MO since he's been here. And I'm not asking for Ja to play 36 minutes in Utah on opening night, but 30 sure would have been nice instead of 28, just to give me a little bit more breathing room at the end of the game. Like, I get it. I preface it with this.
You're splitting hairs a little bit. If you look at the box score, the starters, Santi played 31. Edey had a foul-littered 15. Smart, 26. Ja, 28. Bane, 27. Ja played more minutes than any starter not named Santi Aldama.
I'm asking for was literally two. Like, he comes in at the 6-minute mark, and like the game ended up getting closer than it should have been. Again, we won. All's great. I just don't want to see that continue because, yes, we were able to pull it out against the Jazz, but that's going to bite us against some of these better teams in the future. It has in the past.
It won't happen.
And it's going, bro, we've been saying that for 6 seasons now.
I'm talking about Ja Morant will not enter the game in a close game with 4 minutes to go in a game that Taylor Jenkins thinks we can't win just as soon as he gets in the game. Like,
he's done it his entire tenure.
He has not put Ja in at the 4-minute mark ever.
He has always done it with Jaren. He's done it with
8
Dez.
to the 6 minute. But that's
I'm going to need to see it. I'm going to need to see it.
He will have his finishing lineup on the floor with 6 minutes to go in any.
I'm going to clip this, and any time in the future when it doesn't happen, I'm going to play this clip
again. No one here should be upset about being a little cautious with your star point guard in a game that you're going to win as soon as he walks out on the court.
Again, I'm saying I'm happy with how it worked out last night. Yes, I'm just worried that old habits are going to die hard. And again, we saw growth. Edey fouled out. That's growth. Well, I'm giving flowers where it's due, but I can also say, hey, this is something that we still need to improve.
And Taylor Jenkins has shown already that old habits can die. He apparently set down a cheeseburger this summer. He's not picked it back up.
Bro,
he's lost some weight.
Good, man. I'm like, who is this man?
So my only beef, and I'm sure we're going to get to looking at tonight's game against the Rockets as well as Saturday's home opener against the Magic. But my last beef, get Yuki minutes. He's the only one that didn't play.
Yuki minute. We played 11 of 12 guys last night. Put him in the game, coach. Let's touch on those games real briefly as we wrap up the show here. Appreciate y'all being here. Check out our Bucks 2 cents for our college football takes. Those are going really well. We enjoy doing those. Those are a lot of fun for just perspective on a different sport. Even if you don't know college football, it's fun to hang out and learn. Hang out with us, Bucks 2 cents. So tonight, Grizz are a 2.5, 1.5 now. It opened at 2.5. We are a 1.5 point road dog at Houston. Ooh. So a couple things for me. I want to see Zach Edey get into a rhythm early. It took us a long time Wednesday night to get him the ball in post sets. Alfred Şengün is a great mobile big. He's very athletic. He can shoot threes. He can spread the floor.
Offensive end.
On the offensive end.
Yeah.
On the defensive end, he can be exposed a little bit, and we need to start that early. No Steven Adams tomorrow night for the Rockets. I want to see Edey get his touches early and punish Şengün's inability to defend bigger bigs. I think that's a huge key for me in tonight's game. I also want to see Jalen Wells continue to shoot. We're going to face a team that's going to shoot. You know, they've got a couple kids that are good hoopers. They got some guys that are going to play that can shoot, some young talent, and one of the Thompson twins. I never know which one is which. I think they trade teams constantly between Amen and Azure.
This is Amen.
Amen. So Amen can shoot. You got Reed Shepherd, one of the other big rookies in the draft coming up. I want to see Jalen Wells go toe-to-toe, trying to shoot with these guys. Jalen Green is another one to watch. I want to see what Jalen Wells can do against some of these other young players. So a couple keys for me, Edey and Jalen Wells. What about you? What do you want to see tonight?
Yeah, so the Rockets are currently tied for last in the West after a home loss to Charlotte. Charlotte, who had 3 players in double figures. Lonzo Ball had 34. Trey Mann, 24, and Miles Bridges, the only one in double figures with 10. So I really want to see Reed Shepherd. Reed Shepherd only got 16 minutes, only shot 5 shots, only 1 3-pointer in the game against Charlotte. I want to see him. That's the new toy. I want to see it. Jalen Green's really good. He had 28 against Charlotte. Alperen Şengün had 25 on 22. So between Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, they shot 45 shots and combined for 51 points. So if you can do that, if you can hold them to that, that's a recipe for success. Jalen Green is a volume shooter. And speaking of volume shooters, what I want to see probably more than anything is I want to see Ja humiliate Dillon Brooks, because last year Dillon Brooks did a lot of talking against a Grizzlies team that just couldn't fight back. Yeah. And it felt like he got his opportunity and it wasn't a fair fight. And so I want to see, I don't hold any resentment towards Dillon Brooks, but Dillon Brooks is going to hold resentment against the Grizzlies. And I want our guys to stand up for themselves. I want Ja to just go at him a few times. I want to see that. That's a spicy matchup. I wish that was at home. I wish this was the home opener, not Orlando, for that reason. And so that's what I look forward to. I'm kind of high. We put out our playoff brackets on Instagram. Check those out. The Rockets, I have them in the play-in, but I had them losing in the play-in. Our brackets did not show the 9-10 seeds, the 2 teams that got eliminated from the play-in. And so I am higher on Houston. I think they've got it's put up or shut up time. It's time for these Jalen Greens and Jabari Smith. It's time for them to bloom into real players if they're going to do it. Agreed. And so based on one game, I think Jalen Green is on his way. And Jabari Smith took 7 shots. So I don't really know what to make out of him. I want to see Reed Shepherd and I want to see Dillon Brooks kind of get muzzled a little bit. Yeah,
because Ja tried to dunk on John Collins Wednesday night, but got deterred by a foul, and he changed to a layup that he almost made. I want him to absolutely put it on Dillon Brooks' head. And then Drew, Saturday night, the Magic are a team that I'm pretty high on. In said bracket, I have them in the Eastern Conference Finals, losing to the Celtics. I think Jamal Mosley is posed to be a Coach of the Year candidate because of one Polo Banchero. He looked the part. Did you see that behind the back dish he had to the Wagner brother for the assist.
Wagner,
in the game.
Rusty. They're German.
Whatever. That ain't from North Mississippi. North Mississippi, we call him boys Wagner. The Wagner brother, he hit him in stride for a layup. Just like the guy has all the tools and the makings of a future star in this league. And so, yes, I'd rather punk Dylan Brooks at home, but it's going to be fun to watch a young, talented Magic team come to the Forum Saturday night. That game is going to have a lot of star power. You talk about you're thinking like Olympic ball, like there's going to be some guys in there that could represent Team USA in LA in a few years. The Magic are tough. They got a good opening night win, won me some money Wednesday night by beating the Heat pretty convincingly, which is kind of the MO for the Heat, right? They're going to lose early because they're going to make a run late, but they won 116-97, and the game from what I was reading was never even really that close. And so a good, young, talented Orlando team coming in. I'm stoked, man. That's going to be a fun Saturday night game. Yeah,
that game against the Heat, it was a 4-point game at the half, Magic lead. And it was a 15-point game at the end of the third quarter. Yeah. And the Magic ended up, a 25-point game at the end of the third quarter. And so, yeah, I am looking forward to seeing this Magic team. Like you, I have the Magic as a 4 seed hosting the first round of the Eastern Conference playoff games. I have them going out against the Celtics, though, in a 1-4 matchup in the semifinals, and there's no shame in that if that's what ends up happening for this Orlando Magic team.
Great season.
Paolo Banchero is going to be All-NBA. I love him. He was amazing. Wednesday night against the Heat, he ended up with 33 points, shooting 50% from the field, 50% from 3, with 11 rebounds. So, what a stat line. He's so good. I look forward to seeing who's going to guard him. Yeah. He is a big wing. He's a 6'8", 6'9" wing. And I look forward to it. May be a Jaren kind of thing. And then Marcus Smart did start the game guarding Lauri Markkanen Wednesday night for the Grizzlies. And so maybe he can just be a pesky kind of ankle biter kind of situation. So I'm really looking forward to that. That is an exciting matchup. It's a matchup full of some drama. One of those teams you're only going to see the Orlando Magic in the FedEx Forum one time this year, and it's going to be Saturday night for the home opener. So extremely excited about that. Extremely excited that my tickets that I didn't pay for are substantially better than your tickets you did pay for.
Yeah.
But
it's fine. We're in the building. We're excited. It'll be a back-to-back for both teams. We'll be coming in from Houston. Orlando will be coming in from Orlando after playing Brooklyn Friday night. There's a really good chance both these teams will be 2-0. It's an NBA TV game. Get some national pub for it. Should be a great game, man. I'm excited to see where that's going to go. Drew, the best part is basketball's just back, man. Like the NBA's back. The buzz is back. There's a lot of greatness happening already. Some upsets. The Celtics beat the absolute brakes off of the Knicks. Like we had history and Bronny and Bron playing on the same court at the same time. I just had to put it in there, man.
I mean, everything is just for show. Why in the world would Griffey Jr. and Griffey Sr. be there? Like that was such an orchestrated thing, and
it was. The whole thing was manufactured. So. And
the only difference is that King Griffey Jr. was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Hang on. The stat line was really funny. So LeBron and his son combined to score, let's see, it was a combined 16 points and they had 6 rebounds. Bronny contributed 1 rebound.
Hey, that's one more than he should have probably gotten. So
16.6 rebounds between father and son. But hey, listen, NBA's back. We're tired of all the rankings and the Bleacher Reports and the Sporting News and CBS talking about where the Grizzlies are going to be. 12, you called 12 Wednesday night. You got to win. Dubsky on the road. They're coming home to Memphis. It's only going to get better. Games matter. Talking heads are done. We're lacing them up, and those Grizzlies are back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, so between now, when you're listening to this, and next Friday, when the next show comes out, the Grizzlies are just playing every other day. So when we come back, we're going to talk about, obviously, the Rockets and the Magic, but we'll also get to talk about a home game against the Bulls, a home game against the Nets, Zaire Williams returns, and a home game against the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. So next week, jam-packed show. Excited that we're here to talk about the Grizzlies. our football teams have let us down. And so we have taken the football, we've compressed it down to the smallest bite-sized portion that we can handle, and we've put it on YouTube. So check out the $2.02 on YouTube for all your college football opinions from the $2 here. But this show, we're Grizzlies. We're here. We're in it.
Back, baby.
One game down, 81 more to go, and then 16 wins after the 82 is over. And this time next year, we're talking about the defending champion Memphis Grizzlies.
Oh my gosh, bro. Like there's a chance. Like we are on pace to win 96 games this year.
Yes. I mean, I don't see how it can play out any other way.
Honestly, I really don't. I really don't. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all being here with us. Y'all we love doing this, love being here every week, but you got to take what we say with a grain of salt. You know, there's always something you got to worry about here. You never know. We're going to mispronounce the name. We're going to call somebody the wrong name. Is it Nick Nolte? Is it Nick Nurse? We don't know. But you don't get any refunds for what you hear on the $2 Sports Show.
That's right. Because with all this nonsense, you only get what you pay for with the $2 Sports Show. Have a good weekend. Go Grizz! 1-0.
Let's go.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to